Hey, it's Brad. Welcome to Days of Blunder. Today we're going to talk about iRacing. I'm going to cover some of the more frequently asked questions that I see in the forums over the iRacing subreddit and, of course, in the races themselves. The goal is to get you started with iRacing and maybe to put some of your fears to rest. Now, first things first, let's talk about the money. I see a lot of people asking, how do you afford all this stuff? And the easy answer is, well, you don't. iRacing uses a hybrid payment system where you have a monthly subscription, but then you can buy more tracks and cars if you want to. The monthly subscription gives you access to a few cars and a few tracks. If you're not sure that you want to dive into iRacing, spending the $9 for a month is pretty light. The greatest part is, once you've gotten started, iRacing frequently runs specials where you can renew your subscription at a discounted rate. So continuing to play is often cheaper than getting started. Now, speaking of getting started, let's hop into a car. You'll start iRacing with a rookie license, and the iRacing Street Stock series is going to be your home for a bit on the oval tracks. You'll be driving the free Street Stock car, which cannot be customized other than the paint. This is known as a fixed setup. Your goal in Street Stock is to run clean and raise your safety rating. We'll talk more about the safety rating in a minute, but first let's look at the other types of races you can do. The Dilara Dash is an unofficial race in the open-wheel Dilara IndyCar. Being an unofficial race means that it won't count against your safety rating, but it's still not meant to be bumper cars. You'll have more fun getting in and trying to run a clean race than you will by being the person that nobody wants to run with because you're unsafe. The other oval track race that you could do is the Pickup Cup. You'll be driving a NASCAR Chevrolet truck. Again, it's a fixed setup, unofficial race, so it's not going to count against your I rating, but it's a great way to see if maybe you want to work your way up to the bigger NASCAR truck races. Moving on to the road races, you'll have access to the Global MX-5 Cup, where you'll be racing a Mazda MX-5 Miata. This is an official race, and it will count against your safety rating, and it will count toward your road license as well. Again, you're going to start out as a rookie with the hope of climbing up to a 3.0 safety rating to get your Class D license. As you can see, that's quite a bit of content that you can race without ever having to buy another track or another car. The iRacing team has done a pretty good job of making sure that you can get a taste for the different types of races. And of course, the hope is that you're going to fall in love with one or more of them and you'll want to buy the content to run them in the higher license classes. Now, let's go back just a bit and talk about the safety rating. The safety rating is a measurement of how safe you're driving. Each race, you'll be scored on how many walls or other cars you hit, as well as the times that you lose control of your car. The thing that you'll hear people complaining about is their safety rating being impacted by the actions of others. And that's true. When someone else hits you or causes you to nudge off the track, you're going to get points against you. It might not seem fair, but at the end of the day, it takes into account the responsibility of each driver to avoid accidents when possible. The longer that you go in iRacing, the less you'll find yourself hitting others and them hitting you. Now, there's always going to be some bad apples on the tracks, but they're definitely a small minority of drivers, and the iRacing reporting system works pretty well to weed them out. Finally, let's talk about equipment. You'll hear lots of talk about people in their Logitech, Thrustmaster, or Fanatec wheels and pedals. You'll see the inside sim racing videos where they've got these great triple monitor setups and full metal racing rigs. But here's the hard fact, and it's one that people are probably going to argue: none of it makes you a better racer. What makes you a good racer is your ability to control your car and your awareness when you're on the track. To get started with iRacing, use the mouse control. In fact, for the early Street Stock races, I actually found the control with the mouse to be much easier than with wheels and pedals. Now, I'm sure your mileage will vary. Just take some time to set up your mouse sensitivity so that you aren't jerking all over the screen and you're going to have no problem running circle tracks. The road courses, they're a bit more complex, and the need to brake and steer more carefully and follow your apex lines means that the mouse control is a little bit twitchy, but even those are reasonable. Run with a mouse for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. If you decide that you love iRacing or other wheel-supported racing games, then invest the money into a decent wheel. The Logitech G27 and G29 are probably the best bang for the buck setups, and then you're going to get up in the $400 and $500 range like the Thrustmaster 500. Finally, the Fanatec gear is kind of the top of the line for the hobbyist side of us, though there are some that are custom built and more feature packed, but they're usually out of the price range for most of us. Now, about those displays. If you're already running a triple monitor setup, iRacing is going to be a dream for you. The ability to see to your side is important, but it's not imperative. You can use the look left and look right commands from a single screen setup and you're going to be just fine. So don't worry if your gaming rig can't support 3-screen setups. In fact, iRacing is such a low-demand game that many people play on laptops or less expensive desktop systems that simply can't run 3 screens. They play the game perfectly well, but those machines just won't cut the multiple display requirements. Now, at this point, it's worth noting that iRacing does actually support the Oculus Rift for virtual reality. There's talk that they're also going to support the HTC Vive and other headsets in the future, but the Rift has been out a little bit longer and they've had enough time to develop for it. So if you're already running a VR-capable machine, investing into the Rift is probably going to be about the same amount of money as 3 good displays, and it's going to take up far less space and give you an immersion unlike anything else. So that's it for this time. In future videos, we'll talk about the different license classes, finding your specialty, and your iRacing rating. But for now, I just wanted to focus on getting started, your first few races in the rookie class, and the money factor. If you've got questions, feel free to drop them below. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and check out the content. We're going to be producing it at least once a week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.